Established in 1979, the annual Telly Awards recognize excellence created for television and in video for all screens, representing work from television stations, ad agencies, and production companies from around the world. We are thrilled to announce that this year, the local scene was presented with 4 Telly Awards. Over the next few weeks, we'll revisit those award-winning pieces, as well as some other past wins. First up, we bring you Christmas in July with 2023 Silver Telly Award winner for comedy, Open Here, Anatomy of a Hallmark Movie, written and performed by Tiff Phillips.
Welcome! Today we are going to talk about the anatomy of a Hallmark Christmas movie, because it's that time of year again where the big city female CEO has to go back to her hometown and save her great uncle's candy store, and in return finds love and discovers the true meaning of Christmas. You're listening to Open Here, podcast produced by PAC TV. I'm Tiff Phillips. Let's get started. Hi friends. Hope you're having a magical holiday season filled with joy, peace, and short lines at the discount department store. Well, as I said before, it's that time of year again, and what's better than getting snuggled up with a cup of hot chocolate and turning on the cheesiest Hallmark Christmas movie you can find? Nothing. The answer is nothing. So, why do we love them? Is it the bah humbug female protagonist who learns to love again? The strapping male lead who can build a house in 2 days? Or is it the small population of cheerful townsfolk who deck the halls and come together to save Christmas? Whatever you're in it for, Hallmark movies adhere to a basic formula, and there are boxes that these movies need to check. Let's break this down and examine the classically terrible rules that many of us have come to know and love. Rule number 1, the main character comes home for Christmas. Usually, it's a big city broad whose business is most likely advertising and comes home to her small, picturesque hometown, named after a reindeer or some type of Christmas tree. Most of the time, she's in the middle of closing a big deal with a business or corporation that's Christmas-themed, a chocolatier or a toy company. It's usually a toy company. Now, the reason she comes home is because a loved one is in trouble, but not serious trouble, like the bank wants to foreclose on their doghouse or something, or because she's inherited a busted-up old farmhouse and has to renovate it. Enter rule number 2, the male lead. Usually a carpenter, a handyman, or a town sheriff, or all of the above. He's usually slightly bearded and wears plaid. And he used to be a lawyer, but quit because, well, the small town life was a calling. Sometimes he has a kid. Most of the time, like all the time, he has a dog named Hank or George. Sometimes he's an old flame who has loved her since he set eyes on her from the jungle gym. And 10 times out of 10, they initially can't stand each other. Now that we've gotten the main characters out of the way, let's chat about some of the townsfolk in rule number 3. This one is a little multifaceted. Bullet point 1. Because Hallmark cranks these movies out factory style in large quantities, each movie's production budget is super small. I kid you not, there's usually like 20 people in these towns. Seriously, watch closely, you'll see the same faces in every single scene. It's hilarious. Bullet point number 2, there has to be a cafe/bakery with a super smiley, friendly owner, usually in their late 50s, early 60s, who offers up free cookies to everybody. How do these people make money? Not only is there only 20 people in the town, but you're giving away free stuff all the time. Also, usually this person plays a crucial part in the plot. He or she, most of the time she, usually unveils something tragic about one of the main characters' past that changes how they interact. You see, Shauna, when Luke was young, he lost his mother's cousin's roommate in a tragic snowman making accident, and that's why he runs from love. Sigh, gets me every time. Bullet point number 3. Now, this isn't always the case, but sometimes one of the townsfolk is magical. Sometimes they're an angel, sometimes they're Santa Claus, and usually this person is playing matchmaker with our 2 lovebirds, which is cute. But dang, Santa, don't you have other things to do the week before Christmas? Those elves are probably getting ready to strike. Also, I want to point out something. In a town of 20 people, you'd think that someone would realize that there is a weird stranger who randomly appears at events and watches these 20-somethings going on dates. No? Just me? Okay. Number 4, the almost lovers must go Christmas tree shopping. What's better than a makeshift sort of date to a Christmas tree farm? Subrule, one of the characters has to go on and on about the magic of Christmas. Only hitch, they're a little late in the game. I mean, the movie usually is set like a week before Christmas. Why haven't these guys gotten a tree yet? Time's a ticking. Also, it's a rule that the tree must fall on one of them or the couple must serendipitously land on each other. Ah, there's the spark. Number 5, the villain. Now, when I say villain, I mean we're talking about an extremely lightweight adversary here. The antagonist is usually the female lead's current city boy love interest, who's an odd mix of unintentionally goofy and serious at the same time. And he's usually really overgroomed. He swoops into town wearing a three-piece suit and trench coat, and by day 2, he's, well, okay, so this guy's dressed down look is like a pink polo shirt and a pair of khakis, but hey, I'm not a person to judge. I have an obscene amount of Star Wars t-shirts, so really, don't look to me for fashion advice. His name is usually something prim and proper like James, or Princeton, or William. And what makes him a subtle villain is that he comes into town because he senses there's something going on with his girlfriend, like maybe she's decorating someone else's Christmas tree. Honestly, I don't even know what that means. I don't know why I'm allowed to have a podcast. After his spidey senses are confirmed, he usually has some weak marriage proposal, which leads to our main gal's aha moment, where she's like, Jeffrey, I can't marry you, because in the last 3 hours I've been in Candy Caneville, I've changed. I no longer want to make large amounts of money. I want love and free cookies forever. And Alexander is like, oh, well, I'm going to go back to my penthouse now and make boatloads of money. Enjoy your frozen tundra. Rule number 6, the big event. You cannot have a Hallmark movie without having a big event. Most of the time, it's a gala or a baking competition or a big party that everyone talks about for the entire duration of the movie. And usually something terrible happens before it, like all of the desserts fall into the river and all of the townspeople have to come together in 2 days to put it together. Which means there has to come this silly montage where the lovebirds are running around trying to put together the event. The montage usually involves them getting into a food fight, probably involving flour, or a snowball fight, probably involving snow. And the montage usually concludes with them locking eyes from across the room. Also at said event, there needs to be a moment where Our Lady comes down a long staircase dramatically in a $2,000 dress and just wows our dude with her beauty. I mean, Sarah is fashion, honey. Inevitably, something goes wrong that night and someone tells their real identity or a misunderstanding occurs and drama unfolds. But don't worry because all will be okay soon. Rule number 7. This is the most important part. There has to be a happy ending. No Thelma and Louise drive off the cliff conclusions, no shocking Saw trilogy style plot twists. Bruce Willis hasn't been dead all this time. Just a sweet ending where the town is saved, Christmas lives, and true love wins. Also, they have to have an extremely awkward kiss. Oh, and snow. There must be snow on Christmas. Rules is rules. Sigh, who doesn't love a happy ending? You know, we go into these movies knowing how crappy they're going to be. Terrible acting, predictable storylines, and the corniest dialogue you'll ever hear in your entire life. So why do we do it? Well, let's face it. There's a lot of chaos happening right now. The pandemic, political polarization, global warming, and McDonald's keeps changing their recipe on their McChicken. A lot of what you see on TV reflects that strife. Well, maybe not the McChicken. There's this darkness that has invaded our screens. Too much of what's bad in our society is reflected in what we watch. Shows like crime procedurals are real and vivid and way too close to home. And let's not even get started on the news. But then we turn on a silly toothache-inducing Christmas movie, and for 84 minutes, we can take a trip to Pine Valley or Snowy River Falls or Evergreen Village and not think about things for a while. Sometimes you just want a moment on your couch to not be cerebral. These movies are not clever or thought-provoking. They don't make you contemplate life. It's just a little bit of magic, a little bit of cheer, a little bit of you and a bowl of popcorn remembering not to take things so seriously. And maybe we can take that cheer, those positive vibes these movies give us, and spread it to those who maybe aren't so lucky to have these moments. Maybe we can learn a thing or two from our big city broad who lives happily ever after. Maybe there's beauty in being cheesy. And I think we'll leave it on that note. You've been listening to Open Here, a podcast produced by the local scene of Plymouth Area Community Television. PAC-TV is the community media provider for the Massachusetts towns of Plymouth, Pembroke, Kingston, and Duxbury. To see more of our content, visit pactv.org/thelocalscene. I'm Tiff Phillips. Thanks for tuning in. Let's hang out again soon.
To listen to more episodes of Open Here, head to our YouTube channel or find us on Apple or Spotify.
Hi friends, if you like this video by The Local Scene, share the love and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe.